Section 6.3, we're going to continue looking at solving inequalities. In this particular section, we're going to be solving multi-step inequalities as opposed to one-step inequalities, which is what we looked at before. So again, as I said in the previous video, solving inequalities is really no different than solving equations, with the exception of the rule where if you multiply or divide both sides by a negative, then you need to obviously flip your inequality. Okay, so let's just go ahead and start solving these inequalities. So in example 1, part A, I got to get x by itself. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 6. So those cancel. So you have 4x greater than or equal to 48. Divide both sides by 4. I'm dividing by a positive 4, so my inequality stays the same. So x is greater than or equal to 12. Okay, so when I graph this, let's just say this guy right here is 12. It's greater than or equal to, so it's a closed circle. And obviously this guy is pointing to the right, so that means I shade everything to the right. In part B, a couple different ways of doing this. Most of us, I think, would look at this and say we have to distribute. So we distribute the negative 1/3, and we get negative 1/3 x minus 1 less than 2. And now again, it's just solving an equation, right? Add 1, add 1. So negative 1/3 x less than 3. Now, in order to get rid of this, remember, multiply by the reciprocal. So the reciprocal of negative 1/3 is negative 3 over 1, or just negative 3. So I multiplied both sides by negative 3. Since I multiplied both sides by a negative, I have to flip my inequality now, so it goes the other way. And so it says x is greater than negative 9. So if this guy right here is negative 9, we're strictly greater than, so that means open circle, shade to the right. Part C, go to work. Okay, if I'm you, I'd pause the video at this point and maybe do part C and D on your own to make sure you have this down. So you add 2 to both sides, so you get negative 5w greater than or equal to 25. Divide both sides by the negative 5. Because I divided by a negative, I have to flip that guy the other way. So w is less than or equal to negative 5. There's negative 5. We can be negative 5 and then shade everything to the left. And then finally here in part D, distribute the 1/2, so you get 1/2 y minus 2 greater than negative 5. Add your 2. So 1/2 y greater than negative 3. Multiply both sides by the reciprocal, so multiply both sides by 2. It's a positive 2, so the inequality stays the same. So y greater than negative 6. So if that's negative 6, open circle, y is bigger than that one. Okay, so again, just building off of the foundation that we set in section 1 and 2. Okay, now this one's even more steps. Okay, so part A, first thing we're going to do is we're going to distribute and simplify the right-hand side. So we get 8x plus 2. Okay, so now I'm going to get my x's to one side, get all my numbers together. So I'm going to subtract 8x, subtract 8x. You'll notice what happens here. Those cancel, so you have 3 greater than 2. Okay, now this goes back to, we looked at things like this earlier in the semester when your variables cancel. If the thing you are left with is a true statement, then your solution is all real numbers. If the thing that you're left with is not a true statement, then your answer would be no solution. And if I asked all of you, if I said, is this a true statement? Is 3 in fact greater than 2? Clearly all of you know that that is a true statement. Therefore, the solution here is all real numbers. All real numbers. Let's try part B. Part B, distribute your 3. 24b minus 3 less than or equal to 24b minus 4. 24b, forgot the b on it. Subtract 24 from both sides. 24b, I should say. Those cancel, Negative 3 less than or equal to negative 4. Is negative 3 less than or equal to negative 4? The answer to that question is no. Okay, it is not. Negative 4 is smaller than negative 3. And since that is not an accurate statement, your answer here would just be no solutions. Okay, there's nothing you can plug in for B that will make that thing work. And that's all we're saying there. Okay, number 3. Part A, distribute the negative 2. So you get negative 6z plus 2 less than 1 minus 6z. Add 6z to both sides. Cancel, cancel. So 2 less than 1. That is not true. So the solution here would be there is no solution. And example 3, part B. Okay, left side we're going to keep the same. We're going to simplify the right side, so distribute, so you get 4w plus 18. Subtract your 4w from both sides. Cancel, cancel. 18 greater than or equal to 18. That is a true statement. 18 is equal to 18. Okay, so check, that's true. Therefore, the solution here is any real number, or all real numbers. Okay. And really what that means is you could plug any number you want in for either of these W or for W, and it's going to work out to be an accurate statement, okay, or a true statement. All right, just a couple story problems to finish up here. So number 4 says your cell phone plan is $35 a month for 1,000 minutes. You are charged 25 cents per minute for any additional minutes. What are the possible numbers of additional minutes you can use if you want to spend no more than $50 on your monthly cell phone bill? A lot of stuff going on here, but long story short, you're paying $35 up front no matter what, plus 0.25, we'll call it M, for every minute over 1,000, and we do not want that thing to go any more than 50, so it's got to be less than or equal to 50. And so now we're going to go ahead and solve for M here. So you subtract 35, subtract 35. So 0.25 M less than or equal to 15. Divide both sides by 0.25. And you should find M to be less than or equal to 60. Okay. So what that means is you could use up to 60 minutes. Okay, so you could go 60 minutes over. Once you go over 60 minutes, then you're going to get over the $50. Wouldn't it be nice if your cell phone bill was only $50 too, by the way? Okay, example 5 here says you can work at most 24 hours per week as a nurse's aide. So far this week you have worked 7 hours. If the remaining shifts for the week are each 4 hours long, how many possible full shifts can you work? Okay. So you've already worked 7, plus you're going to work 4 hours times the number of shifts that you're going to work. Okay, each time you work, and it can be at most 24, so I can't go over 24 hours. Subtract 7, so 4s less than or equal to 17. Divide both sides by 4. The number of shifts you can work has to be less than or equal to 4.25. It says how many possible full shifts. So the most shifts I can work is going to be 4. I can work 4 full shifts. Anything more than that is going to take me over my 24-hour limit. Okay, so again, these are not anything really different than what we've been doing with solving equations. So solving inequalities, hopefully you feel pretty good about this. And again, we'll kind of expand on this and clarify anything that you need in class.